So it's Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by former world champion Anthony Crolla. And thanks to freebets.com, you're going to be doing a weekly column for them and for
Yep.
us, which we're
Yes.
delighted
Look
to.
forward to it.
I read the first one earlier today, which is a preview of Chisora and Joyce, which we'll be talking about in due course. So looking forward to that. But first of all, you got to see your first world champion as a trainer crowned a few months ago in Rhiannon Dixon, of course. Probably been asked this before, but how does the satisfaction of that compare with winning a world title as an active fighter?
Oh, it's the next best thing. And I think with Rhiannon, I've seen how hard she worked, where she come from, obviously the background and stuff like that. So it was massively satisfying to see her achieve her dream. But yeah, no, I can't lie, obviously, to then coach her to that. And listen, to coach her to it, but also the team around. I'll never be one of those coaches like I'd be lost without the team around me. Do you know what I mean? Because I think I always say boxing is very much an individual sport, but the team around you is everything. So, but yeah, no, the satisfaction, it was massive. It took a day or two to sink in. And like, it's mad, even though on the night I wasn't pleased with Rhiannon's performance and neither was she, it was still, listen, she won well enough against opponent who's fought for world titles and stuff. So when stopped being hard, well, she's the world's worst critic, but when that, it's something, and it's an amazing achievement. It's an amazing achievement, and obviously I was very proud to coach her along that way to it.
And next up, of course, is Terry Harper in about a month's time on the Jack Castlereagh's pro-grade bill. There's been some criticism of Harper as the opponent purely because she was stopped, of course, in her last fight, albeit 2 weights further up, probably a weight she shouldn't have been at, where the opportunity was at the time. How do you assess the threat of Terry Harper at this stage of her career?
Oh, no, listen, I think she's a major threat. I do. I'd never dismiss Terry Harper. Terry on a day is a very good fighter. She didn't show that last time out against Sandy Ryan. Like you say, it was above a weight. Well, listen, she boxed as high as super welter, hadn't she?
Yeah.
And then she come back down to well, but realistically, she wasn't either. I think she went up for opportunity. There's no shame in losing to Sandy Ryan. Sandy's a very good fighter. No denying she's a world-class fighter. Do I believe that was the best Terry Harper in there that night? No, absolutely not. So we're preparing for the best Terry Harper. That's it. Listen, you can take things from Sandy Ryan, that fight and stuff like that. But I think we're fighting probably a dangerous Terry Harper now because a lot of people have written her off because of her performance that night against Sandy Ryan. And like, there'll be questions asked of her and stuff because of that. But other than that, no, we're preparing for the very best Terry Harper. They're not listen, obviously we have watched that fight, but we'll be watching more of the better performances over the years and preparing for the very best Terry Harper come August 24th.
And the kind of weight class that Rhiannon's in is quite a lot of mouth-watering future fights. You've got Caroline Dubois got a belt in the division. You've got just up super lightweight. You've got Katie Taylor or coming back down, depending on what she decides to do. I know she's got Serrano rematch next. Chantel Cameron made her return last weekend as well. How excited are you about Rhiannon's future against that caliber of opponent?
Oh, I'm super excited. Listen, she's just had some invaluable sparring with Chantel Cameron. Chantel Cameron, for me, she's one of the very best females in, pound for pound. Really mean that. You mentioned that, obviously, first of all, we're never going to overlook Terry Harper. But you come through that, obviously, you mentioned the likes of Caroline Dubois, who's looked really good so far, and I'm pretty sure she'll be a world champion soon, or one of the big 4 anyway. And I think obviously that'll get talked about. I know she's fighting for the WBC interim actually in a few, isn't she? And expect to come through that, and then we'll see obviously what happens with Katie. Whether she comes back down. But listen, like I say, I've always said it. I think Rhiannon's on her own path. Like I say, I think she's been matched very, very well. For great, there's been little step ups, and again, we believe Terry Harper undoubtedly is a step up again. And we shall see. But if she performs how I know she can do, I think she'll win. No, if she performs how I know she can do, I'm most certain she'll win, and she'll look very good doing it.
Now, before Rhiannon steps back into the ring to defend her belt, we have got the fight this weekend that we talked about at the start, Joyce and Dereck Chisora. I've been quite open in the last few weeks about not being a massive fan of the fight. I feel like Chisora certainly, and potentially Joyce as well, should maybe have knocked it on the head at this point. But you, reading your column, seem quite excited about it. Is it a case of they've both kind of declined to a similar level, and so it will be a competitive fight?
Do you know what, Dan? First of all, listen, I'm with you. Do I feel Dereck Chisora should have retired? Yeah, I'm not going to sit here just because I'm working, the show and say, I feel it's a good idea for Dereck still to be fighting. But what I think I said in the column as well, I don't see how it can't be entertaining. I don't see how it can't be entertaining because both are there to hit. And I know that's not a great thing in the interest of the fighter, but I see it for a few rounds being a little bit of a shootout. But one thing as well that I think makes it so exciting, I think it's a must-win for both. I really do. If any of them have got any kind of listen, Joyce, you would think I would have more. I think sort of Dereck now. Dereck's listen, you can never say never, but the likelihood of him fighting for a world title again is extremely unlikely. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Joyce, he's lost to one man, and that's Zhilei Zhang, who's obviously he's next in line, isn't he? He was next in line for a shot, and if Zhang was to get a world title shot, absolutely no one would complain, would there? So I know it was a brutal knockout, but before that, Joe looked like I thought the Juggernaut was the perfect nickname. He looked unstoppable, didn't he? But I think it's the worry was before the first fight, he was getting buzzed a few times, which again off Zhang. There's not like a massive surprise there. But before that, it looked sort of he was just walking through shots, and in the end, that takes its toll. And then in the second fight, that's exactly what it looked like. It was a very vicious knockout. Since then, he had the fight with Cash Ali where he got hit far too much. And listen, he wasn't ever looked like he was going to go over or in danger of getting stopped, really, was he? But we've also, and I like Cash, but with the greatest respect, Cash isn't at the level of Zhang, is there? So that's where I think things can be interesting. And Joe didn't look great that night. There's no denying that. But with Dereck, even like you say now, there's no denying Dereck. Dereck does look very far gone from the man who was involved in some top heavyweight world title fights and fell short, but not by a very far. Do you know what I mean? He gave Vitaly Klitschko a great fight that and stuff like. Do you know, but how long ago was that? Look at his fights with Dillian White. It was the first fight, and some people thought could have gone his way. The second fight, he was up on the card,
winning,
that fantastic shot. So do you know what I mean? I know Dillian wasn't world champ, but he fought for world titles and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm rambling on here, but I think with the question I'm looking forward to it is I don't see for the first 2-3 rounds how it can't be anything but exciting because I just see both landing big shots.
Now, we talked about world title level and how these two guys maybe won't get there again. Two fighters that will compete for a heavyweight world title in 2 months' time or just under, Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois for the IBF version of the heavyweight belt. What do you make of that fight, and especially when you've seen the build-up unfolding?
I'm genuinely excited for that fight. I'm really excited for that fight. Do you know what? I'm a big fan of both, but do you know what? I remember watching the Jared Miller fight. I think, in fact, I remember working it, and I remember saying in the studio at the time, that win for him has just been in Dubois, has just made him turn a massive corner. I think he's got rid of a lot of demons. He's got rid of a lot of demons because he was getting labelled, which I think unfairly. Listen, I know the Joyce fight, he sort of sat the car, but he did have a terrible eye injury. With Usyk, I thought he did better against Usyk than a lot of people give him credit for. I really do. Then there's obviously the controversy about was it low or not, or anyway. But I thought with that Miller fight, he overcome a little bit of it. He had a chance. He probably had a chance to quit. You know, his lungs bursting. He was coming under pressure. He could afford it, and he didn't. He come through the storm, and then he stopped Jarrell Miller. And I think that's made him so much more belief because without that, I don't know who would have beat Hrgovic because he took some shots against Hrgovic, didn't he? And then what he done, he rolled down, and I think he half. I know it was uncut and that, but I think he half broke Hrgovic, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? So I think he's very dangerous, and there's no denying. Dubois a huge puncher, isn't he? He's a huge puncher in the heavyweight division. Regarding the fight, though, why I make Joshua a favourite? I think technically he's a little bit better, but I'm only worried with Dubois. But I know Don Charles and the team there. I know my old mate Kieran Farrell now. He's very much in the Daniel Dubois camp, and you're seeing. I think the team there, they're doing a fantastic job with him. It was just a little bit alarming just how often as he's pulling out, the right hand comes right down the middle. And you worry if Anthony Joshua was landing as often as Hrgovic did, I think you can have and I think Dubois takes a very good shot. You can have the best chin in the world, but it'll be hard to keep taking them. It'll be hard to take them at all. Do you know what I mean? And that's my worry. But if Daniel Dubois is still there after 4 rounds, things become really, really interesting. And he starts walking through AJ, and you know he's bringing, like you say, he's a huge, huge man, Daniel Dubois. But I do think he's got a good engine on him as well. I think he's got a good engine on him. I think very, very heavy-handed, and obviously he's a specimen of a man, isn't he? But if he can tighten up that defense and he's there after 3 or 4 rounds, things become massively interesting. Listen, I make AJ a favourite, being technically better, and I believe he's just got the shots to really trouble Dubois. But honestly, it's a fight I can't wait for because, like I keep saying, if he's still there after 3 or 4, things get really, really interesting.
What do you make of Joshua joining up with his latest training team? When you get to that sort of veteran stage of your career, you've won a world title already. How much can you change? How much can you take on board from a new team, new impetus?
I think you can take an awful lot no matter what the age, but I think certainly Anthony Joshua, I always say it's Anthony Joshua has been, you know, 2-time heavyweight world champion. He's been Olympic gold medalist. He's not that experienced. I know that sounds mad, but he's not because he didn't have the Anthony Joshua story from the amateur, and you know it, Dan, like from where he was to winning novice titles, then winning ABA titles, then being in a world final in the space he'd done it. It was remarkable. Then he went to the Olympics, won the Olympics, then he turned over, and it was moved quick as a pro. When, you know, from turning over to knocking out Charles Martin that night, becoming world champion, it was moved very quick. So I still believe there's loads for him to learn, and I believe the type of person Anthony Joshua is, the character he is, the trainer is, perfectionist he is. There's loads for him to learn, and there's no denying. I think the team there, you know, the Ben Davison performance of Ben, Lee Wiley, Barrett, they're doing a fantastic job with him. I think they're a very good team. I really do. I think they're a great team down there, and I think how you judge that is take age out of it. Look at the fighters that have been there and gone there, and the job they've done with so many of them. There's very few who haven't excelled there. So, and that's a pretty simple way how to judge. I can't. But do I believe Dubois is by far the biggest test since being there? Yeah, by an absolute mile. I think some of the greatest to respect. I think AJ was always comfortable with Otto Wallin, wasn't he? I think with the greatest respect again, Wallin, he was probably the most well known for the cut with Tyson Fury, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? He wasn't Otto Wallin. He wasn't a legitimate top 10 contender, was he?
No.
I think I'm fair in saying that. Then Francis Ngannou, AJ done what everyone expected Tyson Fury to do and scored a devastating knockout. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, they're the two
No one
since
else.
joining up with Davis.
So Daniel Dubois to them two. I would expect Daniel Dubois to do the exact same to both of those fighters. So this is the first real test under the new training team and stuff like that. But listen, this one, he seems to be really enjoying it in there. He's happy there, and they're working really well. So there's no denying that.
Great stuff, mate. Really appreciate the time as always. I'm glad we'll be doing this on a regular basis. And
Dan, thanks, mate. I look forward to it.
Well, people out there, make sure you read Anthony's column preview on Joyce Chisora. It should be up on Friday, I believe, on freebets.com and on SecondsOut. Great stuff. Cheers, mate.
Sound, mate. Dan, good to speak to you, mate. It's been a while.
I know. Well, it'll be more often now. You'll get sick of me quick enough.
Nah, mate, I don't think so.
We'll see.
But yeah.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Nice one,
Thanks,
Danny.
Tom.
I'll drop you an email later today, and yeah, we'll speak quite regularly. Have a good one.
All right, mate. And you. Cheers.
See ya.